All right, so let's take a look at this Hawaii um, go route. And I think the go route is one that you can put in at all levels, especially high school. It's simple to put in, simple to execute, simple to teach your guys. And when you first install it, you can say, this is how we're going to run it against this coverage. Maybe you only give your players a couple of options based on what you think you might see that week defensively. And so if you think you're going to see a one high defense, you say we're going to run go versus one high when we run it. And if you see something different, you can make an adjustment. If you feel like your guys are sharp enough that they can start learning stuff on the fly, I'd definitely start teaching this off the bat. But just teach them a couple differences. Teach them, what do they do against one high? What do they do against two high? And what do they do against man? And so I'm going to show you right now what Hawaii does. And that way it keeps it really simple. And before the play, you can either, tell them from the sideline, run the one high, run the two high, or run the man. Maybe hold your fist up for man. And then they all know and they're all on the same page. And that's if, unless you've got a quarterback that you really trust that he knows what's going on. Eventually you get to the point where they should be able to all do this and not even have to communicate. But I prefer the communication piece because I think communication is critical, and teaching guys how to do that first before they get to the non-verbal communication. So a quarterback has a three-step roll. This is a quick three-step pass. I used to even call this go quick because I emphasized sprint, or I call it go right, sprint right, quick, something like that, just to really emphasize that the ball has to come out quickly. And it really does, whether it's going to the F receiver here on an out route or it's going to the Z on a fade. That should be 9-10 yards, no deeper than 12 yards, because you wait any longer and the timing of the safety can get in there, the corner can cheat over. You just get too deep of a ball for it to be easily thrown. So it's 1, 2, 3, throw. And the quarterback's going to read this outside backer, and he's going to determine, is he widening? If he widens, I'm going to this, really what you could call this route is a slot fade or a seam fade. He's going to get to the hash and continue to widen outside the hash once the ball's thrown. And the quarterback can throw that throw on a line to his back shoulder, and he can catch it right there. We'll see Hawaii do that. If the strong safety does not widen, then it's a real quick throw to the F. You want to make it quick because the sooner he gets the ball in his hands, the more time he has to turn and run and make a move. X is a mandatory outside release. So we would just run a regular sprint out protection. H could be on the play side. He could work up here and give you some added protection there if you want. All right, now if you have two high, now here against two safeties, you're going to have your Z receiver, and depending on where this Sam linebacker is, he might be inside, might be outside. More than likely he's inside. You're going to work him up, and you're going to either dig him inside, sit him down, or post. Now, what you do there is up to your personal preference, in my opinion. I wouldn't give him too much to determine if he's got too high. So I like the skinny post, and have your quarterback 1, 2, 3 throw that skinny post right there, about 15 yards. But I also like the dig route too. That's not too bad. Quarterback sets his feet and throws it right as he digs inside the Sam linebacker, that window right there. F again breaks out, same route. X is working outside. And quarterback's got to understand, you got two high safeties. Just make sure that that corner is dropping enough, because you don't want to throw this ball into a corner that squats. And the X has to really work outside hard to occupy the corner inside here. So that's what I do against two high safety, or at least that's what's worked pretty well for me against two high safety. The go route versus man. Now, this is a play from a few years ago Hawaii ran. They would zigzag motion in and out, or zipper motion, you could call that. and the F would still break out. But the Z was working upfield and digging in. He wasn't so much trying to pick anybody. The clips I'm going to show you, you're going to see how the Z really tries to pick his man, and I actually prefer that much more because it makes it simpler for the quarterback. He's just looking for the F to break open off of the pick and gets the ball to the F. It's very simple. So I like that. Again, if your guys are more advanced and you want to advance from a pick route, maybe they are reading the pick, turn it into an option here. All right, he can work outside and dig it inside, and if he's worried about the pick and fights through hard, then this guy's going to be open on the dig right there, right behind him. So it could be a good progression for you. F route, going to break outside. If he almost gets to the numbers, look to turn it up. X, outside mandatory deep release. Again, against man coverage, if he's covered hard, doesn't beat his man, then at 10 or 15 yards, he can break it back inside on a dig or come back down and come back down, top gun move, down his receiver stem, looking for the quarterback who sprinted outside to get it to him. So those are three options. Now let's take a look at some of the film from Hawaii. So let's take a look at this go route. Now this is from a 3x1 set. A lot more typical of run and shoot teams to be in the 3x1, get 6-man protection, which you can see they have right here. And what the philosophy of the run and shoot does is they're going to find every way possible to make it tough for you to defend these two guys in the go route. And so they're going to, if it looks like defenders are tight and close, like in a man coverage, which you have got 1 over each guy, there's 4 over 3, but yet really only 3 over 3 that are underneath the hard deck line. So they're going to bring them closer together because that makes that rub route a lot harder as he releases to the flat and number 2 goes up to the fade. The stretch between the two is going to happen a lot more quickly than if they were spread out. If number 2 is out here and he went vertical and he went out, it takes him a lot longer to get out there and stretch between those two with number 1 clearing out than it does if they're right next to each other within a couple yards or so. And if they happen to be in man coverage, then it's a lot harder because they're going to get a rub route and it's going to happen quickly. It's a lot harder to stay on defenders that are close together against man. Again, they're releasing that number 2 really wide. They want him to stretch outside of his defender, and he's lined up a yard outside by 6 yards off. And so the number 2 releases as wide as he can, but he does have a line. He's not going to go outside a yard by the hash. Okay, so he releases, and at that point that he is inside, now he's going to look to settle into a window here and catch the ball because he knows it's coming. With the man over the number 2, what the quarterback's looking for is what is this guy doing? This is his read. It's very simple. If he widens, you're going to throw to the seam right here. If he sits, you're going to throw to the out, or gets rubbed or collisioned, you're going to throw to the out. So he widens right at that point, right there, 1, 2, 3. He sees him widen. He knows that he's got grass right here. And we're throwing to green grass. 1 safety high. There it is. And Hawaii does an excellent job of not just teaching their receivers to run straight downfield, but they're teaching them where to find the grass and the quarterback how to throw it to grass. So as the flat defender widens, the grass is right out here, pretty much between the numbers and the hash. And he's going to throw it to his back shoulder. Again, you don't want to throw it up high. You've got a safety coming over. How can we get it between this safety and this backer? We're going to throw a low, harder ball to his back shoulder. Beautiful throw and catch there. This is a fantastic example of the go route in the run and shoot. So once, just to explain it again, you've got a quick out, and you have a seam, and if they had two high safeties, safety, safety, then he's going to break that seam into a skinny post. If not, he's going to carry the seam wider and flatter. If you have flat man coverage, he's going to look the way Hawaii's doing it to get outside his man and pick him, opening up the number 3. All right, so we've got another example of Hawaii running the go route, and I love this route at all levels, high school in particular, because it's a very simple read. And I mentioned in the previous clip that the quarterback only has to read the flat defender, which is this guy right here. Teams can do all they want. They can go 3 over 3. They can go 2 over 3. He can sit inside. He can sit outside. But all they really need to do is read this defender right here. And so let's take a look. Again, they're bringing heavy pressure here. So can you run the run and shoot against heavy pressure? Yes, you can. And the go route is perfect. It has an answer for this. So they've got 6 guys up on the line, and they end up bringing 5 of them, and somebody comes free. But the go route is designed to get the ball out with a 1-2-3 throw with a slight roll to the outside. I used to run just a basic sprint out protection, and that worked out just fine because we could get the ball out pretty quick. So this guy right here is your read key. Let's see what he does. He widens, but gets pinned. See how the number 2 defender or number 2 receiver gets outside of him? So in the traditional run and shoot against man coverage, he would run a slant or some kind of a dig in here. But the slant would be the most traditional. What Hawaii has done is they've gone ahead and modified this to be a pick play against man coverage. All right, and you have here's your man-to-man, man-to-man, man-to-man right here. I like the pick play option against man. I think it's a great option right here. If they were in zone, had 2 safeties high or 1 safety over the more deeper over the middle and some linebackers in here, and they were running zone, then he would just continue up and they would read him. But right now, this adjustment right here, whether they make a quick audible, tells number 2 to turn this into a rub route. Let's see the signal here. Quarterback might be telling him to change it up there. Just a little bit of a hinder right there. Gives him plenty of room to make that catch, and you've got 5 yards. This also sets up for a nice little stutter and go, which he almost starts doing there. He's in his way. I would make sure you coach him up to keep his hands off the guy. Just run that shoulder through him on the outside, and that'll free up number 3. Up top, let's just see what they're doing in an empty set. Up top in an empty set, they're going to run 2 verticals here. So this is more of matchup. If quarterback saw a good matchup over here, he could go back here. But again, with all this pressure coming now, he knows he needs to get the ball out quick. And so that's going to be determined by reading his outside backer here and who's going to free up here. All go routes, it's very essential that the number 1 receiver gets an outside release and gets vertical.